everybody. I just wanted to talk about my review of the new Superman movie, Superman Legacy. Okay. I know there's been a lot of things said about this movie, some good, some bad, some amazing, some horrible. But I wanted to give my own personal opinion and tell you what Owen Shapiro on OSHAP Podcast thinks of this movie. Okay. So, honestly, my opinion, it's similar to what other people say, but there's some things to point out. I did think they have the source down. I think they know what they're doing. I think the writing was not so good, actually, but on the other hand, I thought the acting was incredible. Also to know, James Gunn, he does a lot of that comical style, slapstick hilariousness. Okay. I mean, if you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy and his other movie at DC, The Suicide Squad, you would know that this is James Gunn's style. So you got to be ready for that going into it. I wasn't really expecting it that much. I mean, I had heard people say a little bit of it. It wasn't till they were having some really deep emotional scenes and then they were getting interrupted by ridiculous, like, crack-up jokes that I thought didn't really relate to the story, and moments where they could have had intimate conversations with characters, like with Superman and Lois Lane, but there's like a super like fight going on in the background that he's not even able to be a part of, and it's just part of the universe, and he's just, once again, it doesn't really matter because that's just what it is. I mean, it's, once again, it's appealing to the Marvel fan base, okay? You got to know that. It's extremely Marvel-like, and I think that's what a lot of people kind of have an issue with. Once again, it stays true to the source, so I appreciate that. Nicholas Hoult, man, what an actor. Top 10 villainous characters since The Dark Knight, I'd say. I'd put him in my top 5, probably, of his Lex Luthor. I thought it was just incredible. I thought his acting was incredible. Also, given like some of the source material, once again, was given crack-ups. But you also have to realize that James Gunn said he wants every film to be its own style. So like the example, the Clay Man or whatever that is, the Clay Face, that one's going to be like Slither, like horror. So you got to be ready for that, okay? But on the other hand, I thought this Superman movie was really well to the source material. I thought that they have it on point. They know what they're doing. I just think while the shots were pretty composed and it was fitting that Wes Anderson, it's a bit far. It was fitting that sort of comical vibe. It certainly is an art house. I'd say it's the opposite of it. I thought the fights were cool. Someone had told me this. I didn't realize Superman isn't mostly in the film. I think he's the main narrative and theme, especially with the musical theme, but he's the main point of view, but I don't think he's the standout character. I think his acting was standout. I thought the guy was an incredible Superman. Same thing with Lois Lane, incredible actress. And obviously topping it off with Nicholas Hoult. There was a new dude who was like really cool. I think it was like the Secret Justice League. I think something like that. Some dude who has these balls that they talk about that can shoot lasers. And Green Lantern, I mean, it should be pretty obvious is in it. But also, I did think that Superman was a good version. I thought, I like this version. I don't think it lived up to Christopher Reeve, but I do appreciate what they were going for with it. You know, I think they got to mention more of how they feel about the character. People like to get into political stuff. I did not see it as much. I think if you say, well, if that's another country invading another, so that's clearly a reference to this part of the world. I don't see that, and I'm not a big political isn't my number one subject. Not only that, the political experts have been saying that's not the case at all, both sides. So I don't think someone can really go into it and say it just like that. On the other hand, I wanted to say that this movie is very campy, and they accept that. The interviews accept that. I think if you're living under a rock, you wouldn't know that Superman is campy in the originals, okay? But look, it's not to be rude, but he's always been campy. He's once again, he's a 30s comic book action hero. All right? Action, street style hero in the 30s. But not only that, they have him in the 60s and 70s, okay? Of course he's going to be campy, and I love that they're accepting it. I just think that they take it a bit far, where moments where they could have intimate moments and make things look calm, and, they have a composed scene, stuff set up, and it's just to cackle and things that I felt didn't really fit the tone. I don't think it destroyed the film. I don't think it made it bad. It was certainly good. I didn't think it was bad. Once again, if you look at the source material, this is Superman. This is Superman. This is original Superman. It's completely opposite of Zack Snyder's style. I don't think it's anywhere close to Christopher Nolan's. I mean, at least they both understood the source material, but I don't think it's anywhere close to Christopher Nolan's. And I think this Superman movie, very well made, maybe cut back on the ridiculous jokes, but that's part of his style. And I'm excited to see more of James Gunn's DCU. I'm going to give Superman Legacy an 8 out of 10.